What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Vault. We got 3 more Marvel comic books dropping this weekend, all X-Men related, and there's also been a lot of hinting around that we're going to have at least one more digital collectible drop from Marvel before the end of Marvel month. So there's a lot of exciting stuff happening on VeVe, and one of the most exciting things is that we now have digital comic books on VeVe. I'm enjoying them a lot. I like having the ability to buy Marvel licensed comic book NFTs that have real utility. You can read the actual comic books. So I definitely plan on collecting these, and I thought it would be good to put a video together comparing the values of these comic books in the physical world compared to each other, so we know which ones in the NFT world might be worth more than the other. I'll also take a look at a question I've been hearing a lot about which ones are going to be worth more, low serials versus secret rares, and try to compare some of the values that we're seeing now so that we can get a better idea of what we'll see in the future. So in order to compare these values of these comic books in the physical world to each other, I used the time-tested method of eBay. And when I started off with Marvel Comics #1, of course it's so scarce that you can't even find those on eBay. But I did find a website that gave me a little bit of an idea of the values compared to the grades, and we can use those values to compare Marvel Comics #1 with some of the other comics on the VeVe app. So if we look at Journey into Mystery, the first appearance of Loki, and we pick out a grade on eBay where we see a couple sold listings and we can compare it with Marvel Comics #1. We'll go to grade 4 here, and you can see they're selling for about $4,250. And the Marvel comic #1 at grade 4 is worth about $60,000. So in this example, Marvel Comics #1 is worth over 10 times more than Journey into Mystery. If we look up the first Fantastic Four comic book, it's actually pretty scarce as well. There's not a lot of them that have been sold on eBay, but we have a couple in the 2.0 grading range that go for about $8,000. So if we compare that with the Marvel Comic 1 at a grade 2, that goes for about $30,000. And Journey into Mystery goes for about $2,000 or $3,000. So I would actually rank the Fantastic Four #1 higher than the Journey into Mystery as one that's going to be worth more probably in the future. When you look up physical copies of New Mutants #98, one of the new comics that is dropping on the app this week, you can see that the prices there are almost close to what you're going to see with Journey into Mystery. This comic book was released in 1991 though, so you're going to see a lot higher grades. It's a little hard to compare values, but it is the first appearance of Deadpool and of course Domino, so that's one that's definitely going to be highly desirable and might be as valuable as Journey into Mystery, if not more. When I looked up physical copies of the House of X comic that we have dropping this week, I found a lot lower prices, but it was interesting to see that some of these variant covers were actually worth more than the original cover. The most valuable variant cover in the physical world is actually the Uncommon with Gambit and Rogue, and the artist there is actually Joe Madureira, which is probably not how you pronounce it, but he is the artist who made one of the Batmans in Series 1 Black and White Batman on the VeVe app. The ultra rare of the House of X drop is actually called the Cover F variant, and the artist there is Scotty Young. And of course, as soon as you hear that, you recognize him from the Ultraman 2D poster, and it's the same kind of artwork. And the Magneto variant that looks like an action figure, you can also find on eBay a few of those, but they don't sell for very much. When I looked up physical copies of the Marvel's 1 comic book, I could see that the one that we're getting as the common is the original cover, and other variants exist, but the variants that exist are not the variants that we're getting on the VeVe app, so maybe those are exclusive VeVe variants. I couldn't find them anywhere else, so if they're exclusive for Marvel just for VeVe, that's something to keep in mind as well. So if I had to rate these 6 comic books in the physical world in terms of value, of course Marvel Comics #1 would be at the top of the list, and Fantastic Four #1 would be my second choice. Under that would be Journey into Mystery, and pretty close behind that would be New Mutants '98, and then I would actually put Marvel's #1 ahead of House of X #1 because it's about 15 years older, and it also has the artwork by Alex Ross on the cover. Another question or debate I hear a lot about when it comes to these digital comic books is the lower serial numbers of commons compared to the value of secret rares of the same comic book. So let's take a look at some of those prices in the app right now to see where they're at. I'm just going to be looking at serial numbers below 600, and you can see that the floor there is at 1.4 thousand at 530 or below, and if you go a little bit further, you get to a floor of 768. Now, of course, if we look up the secret rare floor for that same comic book, of course, it's going to be a lot higher. That's the Marvel comic #1, so it might have its own range of values. And then the ultra rare floor is 184, really low. So the value would be secret rares, low serial commons, and then ultra rares, at least for Marvel Comics #1. Let's take a look at Journey into Mystery. So for this comic book, the serial numbers were a little different. You could get as low as 451. And if we're judging the floor from 500 and below, it looks like the floor price is 2.4 thousand. So that's actually pretty high. If you're at 500 below on the Journey into Mystery, we'll look at the secret rares in a second, but I'm assuming that's higher than the floor there. Now if we go a little bit further and look at some of the numbers between 500 and 600 for Journey into Mystery, you can see the floor goes really low down to 200 or 300. On the Journey into Mystery secret rare, the floor is at 1.3 thousand, 1300, 1400. So if you're going sub 500 on Journey into Mystery commons, you're higher than that secret rare. Let's take a look at the floor for the Fantastic Four low serial number commons. You got number 531 for 875 and 559 for 460. So that's a really low floor for low serial Fantastic Four commons. Let's take a look at the floor price for the Fantastic Four secret rares. You can see here it's at 1,000. So you can see the value of the secret rares is higher than the low serial commons when it's numbers 500 to 600, but when you get into Journey into Mystery and you're below 500, those are actually outselling the secret rares. Alright guys, that's all the price analysis I have for you. Marvel just dropped the trailer for the new Spider-Man No Way Home on Twitter, and right before they did that, they tweeted about this 3 drops coming up this week. So you might see a lot of new eyes and a lot of new users on these, and you're going to need to get them fast. So check out my video on blind box drop strategies, and I will be live streaming all 3 of these drops like I did last week, so feel free to stop by and see what I'm doing to get as many boxes up as I possibly can. My strategy is to buy as many as I can and sort them out when they get here, especially on this first drop with the Deadpool first appearance. Alright guys, good luck everybody this week. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Domino.
What's your shtick?
I'm lucky.
That's not a superpower.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
It is.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
It really isn't.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Told you. There's a reason why I'm here, and I'll know when I know. Everything usually just kind of works out.
That's a negative, Soul Survivor. Luck is not a superpower. We are so fucked.
No, we will certainly not fucked.
What, you shoot luck, Blaze? It's hard to picture, and certainly not very cinematic. I mean, luck? I mean, what coked out glass pipe came up with that little chestnut? Probably a guy who can't draw feet. Once again, shoulders. Wander the earth. I'm sorry, what did you say?
I'm in.
How in the fuck are you in already?